It's music's biggest night, and PTV is here to cover it for you. The 63rd Annual Grammy Awards are this upcoming Sunday evening, and we are thrilled to be previewing them in today's PTV Grammy Showcase. I'm Ben Harris, and alongside me is my close personal friend, Cameron Voss. Cam, how are you, and how are you feeling about these nominees, and are you excited for the awards show?
Good evening, music listeners. This is a rough year, but we're here to discuss it, go over our favorites, and I'm feeling mildly excited. Mildly.
I'm excited to get into these categories, so let's start off with a major one. Let's get into what we believe will become the record of the year. We've got some fantastic nominees, and what are some of your thoughts on some of these songs, Cam?
Oh, I've got a thought. Savage, the remix. Gotta be my record of the year. Right off the bat, we're starting strong. What is there not to say about this track? You have two all-stars, brand new all-star, older all-star, and look where we're at now. We're with a hot single. It's obviously known by everybody. Everyone's aware of how good it is, I hope, right? It's catchy. It's got the radio play. This one's going to win big.
It's extremely catchy, and Megan is one of the brightest young stars in the music industry right now. And to team up with a powerhouse and one of her idols like Beyonce for this remix was so cool. So I think it definitely has a great shot. They're two of the biggest artists on the planet right now. As for some of the other songs, I love Black Pumas. I think Colors is a fantastic track. Really just beautifully done by those guys. Say So is a solid radio hit. I'd say it's overplayed, and I think we're kind of over the at this point. But I mean, of course, Doja Cat has a very bright future ahead of her. I was bored by Circles by Post Malone. I'm not a big fan of that track. But honestly, I think Dua Lipa is about to clean up this award show. Don't Start Now, one of the top tracks on that banger-filled album. And so I think Record of the Year is going to go to Dua Lipa for Don't Start Now.
Billie Eilish, last year we learned how well she will do in these awards. We learned in a multitude, right?
And I think Everything I Wanted is a very good track, but compared to the others and compared to some of Billie's other work, I just don't see it winning. So I'm going to go with Don't Start Now. You're going with Savage.
Yeah.
Let's move on to our next big category, one of the biggest of the night, Best New Artist. We've got a number of fantastic new talents up here. We've got Ingrid Andress, one of the queens of new country. Phoebe Bridgers, absolute legend, just brand new indie darling who's been rising for these past couple of years, and Punisher's a fantastic record. Chica, who is one of the most technically skilled rappers in the game right now. She's so exciting. Noah Cyrus, who has been quietly building up her career over these past few years. D-Smoke, who actually has come into prominence off of the success of, I believe, a Netflix show that was kind of like a rap version of American Idol. His album was really interesting. He has a song with Snoop Dogg that I really like. Doja Cat is a megastar. Kaytranada has been running the electronic scene as one of the best producers in the game for the past 5-6 years now. And of course, new megastar Megan Thee Stallion. I mean, there isn't enough we can say about her. What are your some of thoughts on who should win Best New Artist, Cam?
Again, I've only got one thought. It's got to go to Megan Thee Stallion. I mean, there's no one in this list, I think, who in the past year has had so much influence to just about every facet of music in general other than Megan Thee Stallion right now. I don't think there's much of a competition, to be honest, due to how commercially successful, overall successful Megan has been this past year. I don't think there's much competition. I think it's going to Megan.
Yeah, I don't know. There's just a lot of big names on here because I think Phoebe Bridgers is a star in her own right. I think Doja Cat, obviously, #1 song. But I mean, Meg had 3 #1 streaming songs in the past year. And I just don't see any way she loses this category. She has a lot of industry backing. A lot of people like and support her. And I just think she's a really talented artist and is probably going to come away with this Best New Artist award. I would love for Kaytranada to win, but I think it's Meg's got it in the bag.
It's very unfortunate for Kaytranada to be up against Megan Thee Stallion right now. He's an artist through and through. There's a whole style that's indebted to him. But he's up against Megan Thee Stallion. That's not easy.
Well, we've got Meg Thee Stallion taking Best New Artist. Let's move on to Best Pop Solo Performance. We've got quite a list here. I don't know why Yummy is on here.
I don't know
but
why.
it is. So I'm just going to pretend it doesn't exist. So this is a great 4-song selection that we've got to work with Say So, Everything I Wanted, Don't Start Now, Watermelon Sugar, and Cardigan. So Cameron, what are some of your thoughts on these tracks, and what are your thoughts about that extra one that kind of got thrown in there?
You hear this list, and you hear it in your head. These songs have all been played through and through on the radio constantly, and we all know they are pop hits. It could honestly go to a number of songs in this category, of course, not including Yummy by Justin Bieber. That is just not on the same level as any of these other hits in here. I think it could go to a number of them, but in this case, I think everyone can't get Watermelon Sugar out of their heads. I don't imagine people have gotten it out of their heads. Every time I'm in the store, I hear it playing there, and it works. I mean, it's a sweet summery track.
I said it already, and I'm going to keep saying it. Dua Lipa is about to clean up this award show, man. I'm telling you, she is a megastar. That album is filled with nothing but hits, and Don't Start Now is arguably the biggest one. I just think she is so immensely talented, and I think Don't Start Now has a great chance going against a song that has the power that Watermelon Sugar does. But like Taylor Swift, she's released better songs than Cardigan. I think there's better songs that she's released like on Folklore, and like she's just released so much really good music as of late that I don't even think that Cardigan was the best. We're gonna move on to Best Pop Vocal Album. A lot of good albums and changes here. I mean, I think Justin Bieber is a very talented, very good singer. This was not his best work.
Couldn't agree more. And I think we're going to see the big shift in away from the Justin Bieber success that we've seen in the past, because I'm giving this 100% to Dua Lipa. I haven't mentioned Dua Lipa yet, but one thing that's great about this album, Future Nostalgia, and the surrounding projects around it, the deluxe, it's about the vocals. She can sing, and we hear it.
Not only can she sing, but literally every song gets radio play. That whole album is just made to be filled with massive pop smash hits, and I think she delivers. I think Fine Line by Harry Styles is also the second top contender. I wouldn't be surprised if Lady Gaga took it home, just because the art direction she took with that album were so unique, and I think we forget about it a little bit just because of the tumultuous time it came out in.
Absolutely.
Like pretty much very middle of the pandemic, like as soon as things were kind of getting intense. And but I think Future Nostalgia has to take this category home. How many times do I have to say Dua Lipa is going to sweep up this Grammy Award?
Those vocals are stuck in my head. I'm sure they're stuck in your head also.
No doubt about it. But let's keep it pushing. We've got Best Alternative Music Album up next. Fantastic category. Honestly, this might be my favorite one. Cam, what are your initial thoughts on some of these albums?
Finally, the highlights, in my opinion, of 2020. Things we can't necessarily forget that came out. But more importantly, Punisher by Phoebe Bridgers is excellent. It is amazing. It's atmospheric. It's calm, somehow, with its subject matter, as well as it's very fitting for the time it came out in. It sounds isolated. It sounds dark. It sounds spooky. Those are some words you might use to describe the past year. That's also what you'd use to describe this album. However, it's not what I have winning, and it's for a good reason. Fetch the Bolt Cutters by Fiona Apple is lightning in a bottle. That album is lyrically phenomenal. Absolutely. It's so good that it's going to outweigh the other options in this category for me. Absolutely. Fiona Apple goes very raw and very realistic too, with a lot of extroverted thought, it sounds like. Just becoming very self-aware, and I think a lot of people can relate to that, staying indoors for a year. They start analyzing themselves. You might want to do it to Fiona Apple's new album. Give it a try. You might start thinking some things.
I couldn't agree more. Fiona Apple's been making incredible music my entire life, and nothing's changed. From the second you turn on Fetch the Bolt Cutters, you know you're in for a ride, and I think that's why she's probably going to take the category home, in my opinion, as well. But Phoebe Bridgers, Punisher, you hit the nail right on the head. It just has this aura around it that is so fitting and really encapsulates what this album. She perfected her vision, is what I'm trying to say. Definitely. And it just has so many cool subtleties that are very intentional and just very, very good alternative album. But let's get on to the best progressive R&B album, new category. I think it was the one that was formerly known as Urban Contemporary. Fantastic selection here. I love all of these albums.
5 for 5 here. I mean, I couldn't agree more. These are all great albums that everyone should give a chance to. Couldn't agree more. For me, this time around, I got to go with It Is What It Is. I think the Free Nationals are very... Their sound is so easy to get into. So easy. And I think more and more people are starting to realize that. I think it's a very young, it's a very bright fan base. It's a very bright sound that's coming up. And I'm excited to see where it goes.
Yeah, man. I think It Is What It Is was fantastic. I think Thundercat made some of the most innovative progressive R&B of the past year, and just his bass playing and his singing is so meaningful, and there was so many really interesting songs, especially at the back end of that record, and then with some of his biggest hits like Dragon Ball Durag went crazy on the charts, and just some really interesting production on that from between him and Flying Lotus. I mean, I really enjoyed It Is What It Is. However, Free Nats till they pass out obituaries. The Free Nationals need to take this award home. They have been the best kept secret in music for years now. I cannot be a bigger fan. I've listened to that album 50 times over, and I'm not sick of it.
That's the number one thing I'm noticing about these nominations right here, is that it sounds and looks like, for once, maybe a good 5 to 10 years of R&B sound is finally being recognized by multiple artists in this nomination.
Now on to Best R&B Song. We've got a solid list of nominations. We've got Better Than I Imagined by Robert Glasper, Black Parade by Beyonce, Collide by Tiana Major and Earth Gang, and Do It by Chloe and Halle, and Slow Down by Skip Marley, and her really cool list of R&B song nominees here. Personally, I think I think Collide is a really cool song. That was a wonderful addition to that Queen and Slim soundtrack, and I love Earth Gang, and I think they've been one of the most underappreciated acts of the past 5 years or so, so I'd be really happy if they got this.
Personally, I think Slow Down it's my pick for the winner, for sure. I love the song. It's smooth. It's got the Caribbean sound, but it's taking it to a new realm that we haven't heard before, right? I think that's awesome. I think that's definitely worth the attention, worth an award. I do still see the same trend we've seen in R&B with a lot of these picks coming out from the Academy, where a lot of R&B that's not usually talked about sound-wise is finally given the stage. So it really could go to multiple of artists here. My second pick is still Do It, Chloe and Halle. Album's great, song's great. It's very poppy, but it's upbeat, and it gets the job done. I think Slow Down is a little bit more innovative, but that's my takes.
Let's move on to Best R&B Album. Cam, I think we're going to agree wholeheartedly here. Take Time by Giveon. Oh my gosh, what a debut record.
I don't know where to begin. I mean, when it comes to R&B, you have to absolutely reward the golden voices that you hear. That's exactly what we're hearing with Giveon, all of his music, including this album. I think it's, honestly, 2 listens, that's all you need. 2 listens and you're hooked in.
Like, how do you have a 4-track run of Favorite Mistake, This Ain't Love, Heartbreak Anniversary, and Like I Want You, and not give that Best R&B album?
Consistent.
Like, The man is on another level, and that's just the debut project.
Yeah, he's smooth, but you can pick how smooth you want it.
The man is unbelievably talented, and I think we're going to be seeing his name on these nominee lists for a very long time.
Hopefully with an award in hand.
The man is about to go on a run, I'm telling you. And now it's time to move on to Best Rap Performance. Legend was about to become one of the biggest stars in all of the music industry. Buddy, this one is going straight to the Brooklyn. We're giving this one the Pop Smoke, aren't we?
Yeah, we are.
I have more than enough praise to give Pop Smoke. I mean, was on the fast track to becoming an absolute legend. He unfortunately was killed, and I think this nominee is going to go his way in memoriam, unfortunately, but it would have been the first of many, and I'm pretty sure that his posthumous album will be considered for next year's Grammys just because of the timing of things. But what do you have to say about this whole category and some of the songs we got to talk about?
We have to mention Megan Thee Stallion. It's unfortunate, again, that Megan Thee Stallion is going up against another just song that needs an award that's not Savage, and it's H.E.R. We absolutely need to see this win. I think if we don't see this win for Pop Smoke, a lot of the flame that's being fed to give Pop Smoke his flowers is going to go away if it's just getting drowned out by these commercial success songs. Unfortunately, that might happen. It's not something I want to see, even though Megan Thee Stallion's song is excellent.
I'm hoping H.E.R. takes this one home, but I guess we shall see. Let's move on to our next rap category. We've got Best Melodic Rap Performance. Really cool list of nominees here. Laugh Now, Cry Later, fantastic song, but Lockdown by Anderson .Paak. He released it in a very tumultuous time, middle of the COVID summer, and when there was a lot of police brutality issues and just violence in the news, and he really kind of took a step back and captured a moment, not only with the song and its incredible, just very genuine, from the heart and very thought out lyricism, but the video also added so much to it as well, and I really hope that the way Lockdown was able to capture a moment in time is able to take this Grammy home. I really think Anderson .Paak is a generational artist, and we need to treat him as such. So I hope Lockdown takes it, but I wouldn't be surprised if Laugh Now, Cry Later takes it, or if The Box does.
Yep, The Box is definitely another good choice.
Now on to one I think we're both very excited about, the Best Rap Album category. Definitely some surprise nominees, but I think we're both going to wholeheartedly agree on who should win this. Freddie Gibbs is the best rapper alive. There's no question at this point in time that Freddie Gibbs is nothing more than oh my gosh, just the best rapper on the planet right now. He's on an unbelievable run between this project with The Alchemist, which has nothing but like 0 misses, 0 of them. Do you know how hard it is to not have a single miss? Well, guess what? Freddie Gibbs has been not missing for like 4 straight albums now. I cannot say enough about the run Freddie Gibbs is on right now, and it's just, he is an unstoppable force in the rap game, and I think he will take this category home, no doubt in my mind, and there's no one more deserving.
And the force is not stopping anytime soon. I completely agree. This category is tough simply because they're all up against Alfredo. What are you going to do? It's got to go to Alfredo here. I don't see it going properly to any other album here. I mean, the other albums are just not on the level that Alfredo's at. It's a sound that we've been cooking up for a while now, but it's just as enjoyable. It's artistic, it's entertaining, it sounds good. It's exactly what a rap album should be.
Alfredo is just so beautifully produced by Al, and just with fantastic tracks and fantastic guest appearances from Benny the Butcher, Tyler the Creator, Conway, Rick Ross.
If you like rap, you should be listening to this. 10
tracks, 10 hits. Up next, we've got Best Country Song. We've got Cam. some very nice nominees we've got here. I think either the Bones or Some People Do will win. Some People Do is kind of slower, but I think it shows Old Dominion's versatility as a band, and it's not their usual type of sound, kind of. Right. And then the Bones has just been extremely popular, and Maren Morris cleans up award shows. I mean, she is a true country star and making a name for herself in this industry, and it's just such a big hit, and I think it also has some great meaning to it.
Do you want to know how to win this category? Don't make country. That's why I've got the Bones taking it. It doesn't sound like country, and that's all we need to hear.
Up next, we've got Best Country Album. I think I'm going to go with Ladylike for Country Album of the Year. I mean, Ingrid Andress has come on to this country scene, and she has this very soft and unique voice that kind of separates her from everyone else. I know my man Mickey Grennan and my man Liam Plate, huge fans of her. Her type of country hasn't been kind of exemplified too recently with this softer, slower sound, and I think she's just such a young star, and I think she has the potential to like reach that next level of stardom if she gains this award, and I think she's on perfect track to end up taking this one home.
I'll let you in on another secret for country. Make it hip. Get it, current, modern. Trader Joe's, great way to start this album. Ladylike. It's got to go to Ladylike.
Up next, we've got Best Dance Recording. Cam, I think this one is a lot of fun. We've got some really cool songs here, really fun songs. Buddy, I love this category.
I'm ecstatic. This is a great category. I don't even know where to begin. I'll start us off. I want H.E.R. to win so bad. So that's why I'm picking H.E.R. here. But all of these are excellent choices. Great cast, great collabs. I'm so happy to see that these artists even collabed at all, to be honest, a lot of them. And the sounds they made were new, especially for something that's so repetitive, if you will, a lot over the past 10 years. I'm glad that these Grammys this year are really highlighting ways to innovate genres that we can be excited about.
Yeah, I genuinely love all 5 of these songs. They're all so good. I mean, Amine being nominated for a Grammy just warms my heart. I mean, awesome. One of my favorite rappers, and Slow Tie along with him is so fantastic. And
Who'd have thought?
On a Disclosure song, it's like 3 of my favorite artists right there. So that's really cool. Diplo, once again, nice song with side piece with On My Mind. Flume and Toro et Moi. I mean,
just listen to these artists we're naming.
Dude, like
this is what collaborating should look like. This
artists within all of their respected fields, and then the compilations they've been able to put together are just
good ideas.
So nice. But I think 10% just has an unbelievable bounce to it. Nobody dislikes that song. Everybody loves that song. There isn't a person on the planet who isn't going to tap their foot to 10%. I mean,
or anything H.E.R. has made recently.
Yes, like that just has such a nice, that deep, booming house bass. Just and it's with Kali Uchis.
You can't go wrong.
Oh, dude, Kali
You just can't go
Uchis
wrong.
is unbelievable in so many ways. Yep. So I think 10% is the biggest hit out of all of them, so I think 10% is going to take home Best Dance Recording. So let's move on to Best Dance Album. We've got a number of good nominees. Cam, what are your thoughts on these fantastic electronic albums?
I'm going to keep on fighting until H.E.R. gets an award. I will not stop until he gets an award. However, I do want Good Faith by Medion to win. This album is just really catchy, which, to be honest with you, sometimes when it comes to this category, that's all you can ask, is just a catchy album with great sampling, just a lot of fun, loud sounds for once. We've all been through the awful summer phases of the festival music where it's just in one ear, out the other. But what I'm happy to see with Good Faith is that it kind of elevates that sound we're all familiar with, but makes it palatable to people who like to hear a little bit more complexity in their music like that. So I'm happy to see that's there.
I like Good Faith, but I think this card is going to come down to either Bubba or Energy. I think H.E.R. did such a fantastic job with Bubba. I still don't think it's his best work, which is crazy. It just it's his biggest work, is what I'm saying. Yep. And it just pulls so much interesting detail from both New York and Toronto club scenes, and really is able to encapsulate just such energy, such beautiful dance and house music all into one, whereas Energy, for disclosure, has so much within it. I mean, it just has this beautiful worldwide electronica sound that takes so many different influences, whether it be rap, whether it be hip house, or like pop and R&B kind of stuff, and even some like cool reggae tone stuff, and like just fantastic album. I think I'm gonna have to go with Energy. Can't say enough about this category. I think it was really well put together. Cam, we have finally made it. We're at the Song of the Year, one of our biggest categories of the Grammys. Fantastic list of nominees, many of which we've mentioned already. And Cam, I said it throughout the episode. Dua Lipa's taking it home, baby. Dua Lipa is going to take this category along with all the others she's been nominated for. I think she's a superstar in her own right. Can't say it enough. Not enough praise for that album. It's so good. Future Nostalgia is just a wonderful trip. And with Don't Start Now toward the beginning of that track list, I mean, there's nothing more to say about that fantastic smash hit.
I've got something to say about this smash hit. It's going to lose to The Box by Roddy Ricch.
What? No way.
It's got
There's
to.
no way
It's
Don't Start Now
got
loses
to.
to The Box.
The Box may not win a lot, but if it does win one thing, I do want it to be this category. However, there is a lot of songs that could win this category.
I think it's going to either be Don't Start Now or I Can't Breathe. And I
This
think
is
I
so
Can't
tough.
Breathe is a beautiful song that really captures a moment for her, and I think her is a very solid artist, fantastic voice.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be between those two, but I think Dua Lipa just has this Grammys by the throat. I really think she's going to dominate this award show. Now on to our final and potentially most important category, the Album of the Year discussion. We've talked about some of these already, of course, but others not so much. Some of my favorite albums of the year got nominated. I really think these Grammys, for the most part, did a very good job getting accurate nominees. And I think I'd be, honestly, as long as Women in Music Part 3, Future Nostalgia, or Black Pumas, or even Folklore took this home, I'll be thrilled. Any of those four, I will be ecstatic with the choices that were made by the Grammy committee. But, I mean, Chilombo, like we said earlier, not really Janae's best work. That Coldplay album was boring. Jacob Collier is just a glorified band kid. And Hollywood's Bleeding stinks. That was a bad album. That wasn't good.
Hollywood
It
must
genuinely
really
wasn't
be
good.
bleeding. I mean, there's something going on there. But I'll tell you what's really going on here. This list is embarrassing. I gotta be honest with you.
Really?
Where's Punisher? Something is vitally missing from these nominations here. I think Punisher definitely was more interesting than Janae's work here. Sorry, Janae, but it's got to be on there. Another thing that's sorely missing from this category is The New Abnormal by The Strokes. I don't understand why it's not somewhere in this mix, especially considering that apparently Hollywood is still bleeding. I mean, when are they going to fix this? This is the hardest part of the coverage tonight, definitely, because there's so many things that could be here that could make this category even more electric than it already is. However, I see Taylor Swift taking it because it's Taylor Swift. And this is definitely Taylor's best work in a long time.
Yeah, I think Folklore was fantastic. I think Hollywood definitely needs a Band-Aid because that album does not deserve to be on this list. Future Nostalgia, I have said it a million times already. Dua Lipa's taken these categories one by one. I would not be at all surprised to see her get Album of the Year, but there's a lot of good nominations. And personally, if I had my choice, I would choose Women in Music Part 3.
Certainly.
I mean, I
Great
recognize
choice.
myself as the fourth Haim sister, and I think that album is fantastic. I listen to it all the time. I have it, physical copy, and I just think they did a fantastic job with that work, encapsulating just so many different sounds of that indie scene, and I think that it just sounds like you're taking a walk through different seasons.
Great album.
And I love that album. I would be thrilled if Women in Music won, but I think it's going to end up going to Future Nostalgia. Dua Lipa is cleaning up the 63rd Grammys, baby.
Women in Music definitely deserves a spot on this list, and I'm happy to see it there. And I think I would like to see it win as well, as couple other things that could have been on this list.
Yeah. Now, Cam, let's get into some of the live performances we're going to be able to see at this year's Grammys. I mean, we've got a lot of big names that are performing. I believe it will all be virtually, from Bad Bunny, Billie Eilish, and Black Pumas, to big acts like Cardi B, BTS, Dua Lipa, Meg Thee Stallion, Roddy Ricch, Taylor Swift, John Mayer. I mean, just huge names are going to be performing for this thing.
Oh, yeah.
So who are you looking forward to most?
Unfortunately, I'm looking forward to Post Malone's performance. So like you said, we can finally patch up Hollywood. I mean, he's going to perform Circles, and I'm sure it's going to be great. And that's the last time I want to hear it. I want to hear it go out with a huge bang. And I'm also excited to see Taylor Swift because Taylor Swift has really been just self-aware lately in her music. Mm-hmm. So I'm happy to see that there's a lot of artistic development. I'm kind of curious how it's going to translate to a live performance. So I think I'm interested in seeing Taylor Swift.
All right. Well, I think my performance that I'm looking forward to the most actually isn't even on this list. It got announced late. Silk Sonic, the brand new duo of Anderson .Paak and Bruno Mars, will be performing at this Grammys. And, buddy, I am more than excited to see that. I think that Leave the Door Open was a fantastic lead single, and I am so excited to see what those two generational artists are able to put together. They have such a smooth, soulful sound, the two
Great
of them,
performance value,
and
too.
I guarantee they're going to be debuting a new single on this big stage. So I am so excited to see what that duo can do under their new Silk Sonic moniker. Well, you may have noticed we skipped the rock categories, and that's for a good reason. Our rock expert, Valentino Petrarca, is here to school you on all of those nominations and categories. Here is Val's School of Rock.
Let's rock.
Valentino here with Pirate TV's School of Rock, and today we're going to be dissecting the Grammys' choice of metal and rock performances and really doing a deep dive into a lot of their categories that they've chosen. Now, before we even get into the list, I do want to preface this and say there is a long, long history with the Grammys not really being in touch with rock, kind of being very, very out of touch with what they think rock is. They very much choose a lot of records that would not be considered rock. There's a lot of different kind of things that they do that is just kind of frowned upon in the rock community. And personally, I've actually spent the last week talking to record labels, and I've just asked them out of curiosity, hey, what do you think about, the Grammys? I've talked to a few radio people, and I've actually legitimately spoken to people that have voted on the rock and metal Grammys, and all of them have universally said that this is a terrible, terrible year, that these aren't rock, and that they're so out of touch. So obviously, I can't name names, but right from the horse's mouth, even a lot of the people that voted are disappointed with the choices that have been made here. It is upsetting because a lot of these categories are more under a indie alternative sphere, but because there's a slight edge, they think it's rock. So without further ado, we're going to go right into it, and we're going to start dissecting these choices. First up, we've got Best Rock Performance. Now, with Best Rock Performance, we have Shamika by Fiona Apple, Not by Big Thief, Kyoto by Phoebe Bridgers, The Steps by Haim, and Stay High by Brittany Howard. Now, these are absolutely incredible songs. I personally love all these songs. But again, they're indie, they're alternative. They are not rock or anything of that rock sphere. I think the closest out of all of these to being a rock song would either be Stay High by Brittany Howard, kind of being a more classic rock vibe, or Kyoto with Phoebe Bridgers being a very indie rock vibe. But pretty much all these other songs are more on the alternative side than on this rock side. Now, if we're going to go into the predictions here, I think Kyoto by Phoebe Bridgers will win. Now, I absolutely love Phoebe Bridgers' new album, Punisher. I think it made number 13 on my year-end list. I did top 50 records of 2020. That was a breakout album for her, and for good reason. Now, I think the Grammys are going to love this because it has the lyrical intelligence that they're looking for and the emotional and musical intelligence. When you're listening to this, it's a very sophisticated kind of song. It's got a lot of very nuances to the instrumentation. That's why I definitely think they're going to pick that for the Grammys. Personally, though, I do think that Stay High by Brittany Howard is the best choice of the bunch. This is such an emotionally charged and soulful song. I really, really can't get enough of it. And I think that it does embody a lot of the the values and overall level of quality that the Grammys should represent. Now, there are some snubs, of course. 2020 and a little early 2019 was a phenomenal year for rock music. We had some of the best rock albums and metal albums ever made. And that being said, Tunnel Vision by Movements is, of course, a song that should have been nominated for a Grammy. The chorus hits incredibly hard. The depth and the introspective of the lyrics. It's a very introspective song dealing with kind of, is there a light at the end of this tunnel? You know, it's a very emotionally charged, incredible song. You've got Bad Habits by Silverstein, taking the intense rock genre and pushing it into that like almost electronic alternative realm while still remaining true to that rock sound. Really phenomenal. And then last, Hate Conquers All by Anti-Flag, a political anthem that really kind of sheds so much light on the last 3-4 years of America. Now up next, Best Metal Performances. For this we have Bum Rush by Body Count, Underneath by Code Orange, The In-Between by In This Moment, Blood Money by Poppy, and Executioner's Tax by Power Trip. Now, these are a lot of really, really incredible choices. I'm going to be honest, out of all of the years that I've been a fan of rock and metal, this is probably the best in terms of the metal that they've done. I think that these are pretty accurate of the metal scene in 2020 and early 2019. You got In This Moment dropping this phenomenal, powerful, soulful record. You've got Power Trip coming back, and they've been around forever, and they're still dropping new and exciting music. And then, of course, you've got, Code Orange and Body Count, which are really, really incredible as well. Now, if I'm going to go into the predictions, definitely Blood Money by Poppy is going to win. I haven't gotten into Poppy yet, but I know a lot of people are, really, really foaming at the mouth for her. Apparently, the way that her sound is, and I spent a lot of time listening to it and trying to dissect it. I've tried to understand a lot of it. And she does have a lot of alternative and indie sounds with this hardcore kind of atmosphere. So it is a very almost floaty vibe kind of tone with those heavy vocals. And even then, the vocals aren't a direct scream. They're just kind of layered on top of her singing. And while I wouldn't consider that the best metal, I'll definitely say it's innovative. It's definitely revolutionary, and a lot of people haven't done the kind of metal that she's doing. So I do think that they're probably going to pick that. Personally, Code Orange dropped arguably one of the most flawless, perfect metal records I've heard in a very long time. This over here is a really, really prime example of how to capture a metal sound and make it intriguing and interesting. Every second is new and really, really cool. So Underneath by Code Orange, I think personally should be the winner. Of course, we're going to get to some snubs. Dear Diary by Bring Me the Horizon is, and this might sound like an extreme overstatement, but I'm not kidding when I say it is probably one of my personal favorite metal songs of all time. Bring Me the Horizon in 2020 came out with this brutal anthem, especially after Bring Me the Horizon going dubstep for most of their career, and then swinging back into metal with this deathcore grind, and Ollie has this new level of aggression to his vocals that we've never really heard before. Of course, you've got What the Dead Men Say by Trivium. That is a phenomenal, phenomenal release. It takes everything you love about metal while having a new swing to it. It really, the chorus in particular of this Trivium song is something so new that I don't think, when I heard it, I remember thinking, I've never heard anything like this. Typically when you hear songs, this sounds like this mixed with that. This Trivium album, but this Trivium song in particular, this title track, What the Dead Men Say, is 100% a fresh innovation of the band and a step forward in the right direction. And then of course, I wouldn't be a metal fan if I didn't put the new System of a Down song, Protect the Land. That song is their first song in years. I think it's 13 years, and they came back hard. They came out with a message, and they're here. They're not playing around. So up next, we have some Best Rock Song contestants. We have Kyoto by Phoebe Bridgers, Lost in Yesterday by Kevin Parker, a.k.a. Tame Impala. We have Not by Big Thief. We have Shamika by Fiona Apple. And again, we have Stay High by Brittany Howard. Now, a part of the reason that I was kind of disappointed this year with the Grammys and the rock was these are pretty much basically the same songs as Best Rock Performance. There's not that much, variety. And there's so many new and incredible rock artists and bands that drop new music. So it's basically the same kind of lineup, but under a new sphere. And of course, Kyoto, Punisher is a great thing. Tame Impala's record is, it's a decent record. I really enjoyed it. It actually appeared on my albums of the year list as well. Big Thief, like that song Not is a 6-minute track that just really, really, really keeps you engaged the entire time. Shamika by Fiona Apple, I know that record is going to probably sweep a lot. That's going to be a good record. And obviously you've got Stay High, Brittany Howard, you know how I feel already. Phenomenal song. So we're going to go into the picks. I definitely think Lost in Yesterday by Tame Impala is going to win. Again, though, as I've said before, Tame Impala is not a rock band. They're indie at best. They're alternative at its core. There's nothing about them that has a rock edge to it. They are an alternative. And again, I am by no means shaming or hating on Tame Impala. I love Tame Impala. This record was, I think, a number 43 or something on my top albums of the year list. But it's just not a rock record. It shows the misrepresentation and the complete out of touch that the Grammys are with this genre of music. Kyoto by Phoebe Bridgers, I think, should win. I think that song is obviously perfect. It's a great track. It's fun. It's emotional. It's got everything you need. Now, some snubs. Ones and Zeros by Boston Manor. That track is literally incredible. Henry has this new way of singing in this track that we haven't heard before. It's very reminiscent of that kind of early emo whine that you got with that My Chem, the Used kind of thing, where his voice is very wavy and kind of does this thing where it's extremely, it has a talkative personality to it as he's singing. Then you've got, obviously, The Real You by Dragged Under. Metalcore has been done a million times by a million different bands. Dragged Under perfected it this year, I think. They did it as great as it could be done. They mastered metalcore, punk, hardcore. They did it all. But The Real You is, I think, an example of a perfect rock song. And then, of course, Paradise Lost, a poem by John Milton from The Used. That song is really just perfect on every front. You've got the guitar work being the most full the band has sounded in years. The vocal delivery being the most energetic and enthusiastic. The drums are at full capacity, and the drums and then the bass, of course, is really, really, really funky and at the right point. I think that The Used they've been good for a while, but this is them getting back to being really, really great. So, up next, Best Rock Album. And now this, I think, is perhaps the biggest example of there are a lot of not rock albums on here. I'd arguably say the only rock record on this is probably the Grace Potter record, Daylight. But we have A Hero's Death by Fountains DC. You have Kiwanka by Michael Kiwanka. You have Daylight by Grace Potter. You have Sound and Fury by Sturgill Simpson. And you have The New Abnormal by The Strokes. Now, predictions, I personally think that The New Abnormal by The Strokes is going to win. It was an honorable mention for my album of the year. I think it's a great, great record. I think that it has everything I look for in an indie record, but I don't think it's like a rock record. But I will say, them coming back after taking such a long gap, it shows. They've got passion to the music. It's not just them coasting. They really do have a lot to say and a lot to offer. So if that were to win, like I think it's going to win, I would not be upset by any means. Val's choice, also again, the New Abnormal by The Strokes. I think out of all of them, it's probably the best of the bunch. I know that Grace Potter record also is very, very good. But as I said, I think that it may not be rock, but in terms of what it tries to do, I think it does it very, very, very well. Now, some snubs. Now, these are stuff that I feel very, very passionate about. These three records right here. Brave Faces Everyone by Spanish Love Songs is one of the most emotionally charged, powerful, intellectual albums I've heard in my entire lifetime. The first time I heard this record, it was the only record I heard for about a month. And furthermore, it was the record that when I listened to it had a visceral emotional reaction where every single second of this record is powerful and potent and deals with themes all across. You have drug abuse themes weaved throughout. You have poverty, you have economic crisis, you have global warming. Pretty much everything about the human existence and human condition is discussed in this record and discussed in a very poetic way. Up next, you've got Lament by Touche Amore. Touche Amore comes back with classic post-hardcore. The choruses are fun, the verses are engaging, the bridges are very, very cool. I think at the end of the day, this is a step in the right direction for the band. And the very, very last record that I do want to talk about is Sex, Death, and the Infinite Void by Creeper. Creeper is a kind of a punk band, a quick punk emo band that literally went David Bowie rock influenced. This record is a David Bowie classic rock record. That the fact that they made such a drastic change in sound and it paid off for them. And furthermore, the fact that this record is as good as it is for them experimenting, it deserves some kind of place on the Grammys for this. But that's all I have to say for Val's School of Rock. Again, I love all the records that were nominated. I think that even if they're not under that rock sphere, they still deserve some kind of a place. They're great records. And yeah, I really, I'm definitely excited to see how this pans out and to see what the future is for the Grammys.
Thank you so much, Val. You are the expert as always. Well, that's going to do it for PTV's showcase of the 63rd Annual Grammys. For Cameron Boss, I'm Ben Harris. What a wonderful list of categories and nominees. We're excited to see these Grammys, and we'll see you next time.